Pathmonk is the AI for website conversions. With increasing online competition, over 98% of website visitors don't convert. The ability to successfully show your value proposition and support visitors in the buying journey separates you from the competition online. Pathmonk qualifies and converts leads on your website by figuring out where they are in the buying journey and influencing them in key decision moments with relevant micro experiences like case studies, intro videos, and much more. Stay relevant to your visitors and increase conversions by 50% by adding Pathmonk to your website in seconds, letting the AI do all the work and increase conversions while you keep doing marketing as usual. Check us out on pathmonk.com. Hey everybody, welcome to today's episode of Pathmonk Presents. Today we are joined by John Perkins, is the SVP of Growth at Popdarts. John, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Rick. I'm excited to be here, man.
I'm excited to talk to you, John. I want to just get right into it. Maybe let's start with the basics a little bit, and if you can tell us a little bit about the big idea behind Popdarts, and if you were explaining it to a friend over coffee, how would you describe what you do?
Yeah, that's great. So I'll start with Pop Darts. So Pop Darts, if you haven't seen it yet, you probably have. We're everywhere. But you've probably seen these viral videos on TikTok and all over social media of suction cup darts, either landing on bald people's heads like yours, Rick, or some of our gameplay videos. But what we like to say is we're in the business of making active games that are super fun, addicting, and bring people together. So that's kind of what we're up to nowadays. The guys who started the company, they invented the game, they invented Pop Darts. So that's an interesting situation, which I'm sure we'll dive into all the marketing stuff there. And then what my job is specifically, I'm looking at all the different ways that we can grow the company and go from being kind of the brand that we are to the brand that we want to be.
Hmm. Awesome. Just out of curiosity, do you guys play a lot in the office, or how does that work?
Well, we're a distributed team, but I think if you ask any of us, we have way too many Pop Darts. I know if you ask my wife, we just have too many around the house. But yeah, man, it's a fun job. We get to play a lot. So
Yeah, no, that's awesome. I was wondering if there were any victims, any bald-headed guy like myself in the office,
yeah,
just, people trying to target him. But it wouldn't be fun. And I would fight back that 100%.
yeah,
So,
yeah.
all right, good. So, John, can you tell us a little bit about which type of customers are the best fit for your products? Give us an idea of your ICP to keep the marketing lingo in a way. And I guess in a way, how does your website impact their shopping experience, for these kind of people? Are they finding what they're looking for? Just give us an idea of what people are buying Pop-Tarts generally.
Yeah, that's a great question. So our core customer, ICP, like you said, our core customer is typically, males. They could be anywhere from like 13 all the way up to 40. Kind of depends. Most of them are competitive or have some form of an athletic background. And I would say like digital natives on social media, that's kind of like some of the avatar attributes that have defined us and kind of where we started and where we grew from. We can talk about segmentation and what we're doing now to, reach other audiences. But in terms of if you're going to see someone playing Pop Darts, it's probably going to be someone who has some of those characteristics. Website, like I said about us, like the entire company was basically grown during COVID through TikTok and through super engaging content. So that's interesting for us because it presents a unique challenge where, most of our customers were coming through TikTok organically, social channel, and then we're purchasing on the website. As we've expanded and grown, the website's taken a different role. And honestly, we're in an evolution of it right now, like so many brands, are in our space. But if you hit our website, you're going to see tons of content. You're going to see a lot of like active gameplay, competitive kind of language, and we like to position ourselves almost as a middle ground between like a game that you play at home, like a great family game, but then also a sport. And we can talk about
Mm.
some of the awesome things we're actually doing this year to push the sport of Pop Darts outside of just the game.
Yeah, that would be cool, actually. Do you have anything coming up? Are you guys going to
Yeah.
the Olympics? Or how does that work?
Yeah, well, we'll get there. Um, But actually, in August, we have our first national tournament, national championship, which will be broadcast live on ESPN Ocho. And super exciting event for us. Obviously, who would have thought that we'd be on ESPN? Um, but we're kind of taking this opportunity to do what we've done organically and kind of from a lo-fi perspective, and we're just going to absolutely blow this thing up. Um, and it's going to be super exciting, super fun, and it'll be kind of a pivotal moment for us to be able to show people just like the insanity and the craze in our loyal customer segments. And so we'll be able to bring that to the main stage.
That's I think well that's awesome first of all on SPN. That's I
Yeah.
would never expect to see. I know Popdarts, right? I've played with them like as a kid also, right? But thinking about um just going on SPN and that going live, it's kind of serious, right? But at the
Yeah.
same time, it's a sport, it's a game, and you have those raving fans ready
Hmm.
to tune in and yeah, just see more of it. But I wanna drag it back for a second when you talk about your acquisition channels, right? So you're talking about TikTok. It's big, right? You're creating engaging content. So have you seen anything that works best when it comes to content? What kind of content you guys, or maybe you personally prefer seeing when it comes to Pop Darts, and what makes you keep scrolling and wanting to see more of it?
Yeah. And that's a pertinent question. So I think the difference now in 2025 to where we were even just a couple of years ago, um, it was really easy for it to be a conversion event. So you create really engaging content, doom scrolling, hooks, something that just keeps people watching. Um, and again, thinking about it, like if you really break it down, I think thinking in 5 second increments is important. It's like you have to earn and keep in 5 second increments. Um, so I think we did that really well. It was a new product, a new game, and obviously there's a lot of things about this that are satisfying. The actual stick of the suction cup, the pop when you pull it off, being able to throw it on all these different surfaces, like that makes people just kind of break the day, break their patterns, right? We call those pattern ups, but yeah, I think like that easily equated to sales. So I was like, we could get their attention, give them a link, promo code, they're on the site, and they're purchasing. Now the consumer, right, because of the economy and a bunch of other reasons, and I also think market saturation plays a fact. Like once people see something, it's like, okay, you got to give them something else. And it's got to be new, it's got to be different. Anyways, so for us, what's happened there with our creative and our content is we've had to get a lot more strategic. And so it's not enough just to do what we've always done, which is show the game and play that. Now we're having to come up with frameworks, really intentional content that just breaks people from their assumptions. So I think
Mm,
we can dive kind of how we're doing that. It's in full transparency, not something we've completely figured out yet. Um, but we approach things kind of from these like frameworks of thinking. And we can talk about one of our successful ones, which is an over the house series. And we've had to grow and shift a little bit from thinking, okay, let's show people playing Pop Darts to let's show people doing interesting things with suction cups with our darts, um,
mm,
and, and play and do different things. And we have a fantastic content team. They're always coming up with great ideas. But I do think that's the one area for me when I look at other brands or when people ask like, "Hey, what would you do?" Or it's like you have to put almost all of your eggs in the content basket and really focusing on each and everything you produce, breaking it down, and then just being extremely aggressive with your feedback. I think like if it's boring, if it's uninteresting, if there's any part where it could be better or you would do something else, you have to do that and you have to iterate and then you have to put it out there and then you have to keep putting it out there. Um,
mm,
so again, like being surgical with your content, I think is the best thing that you can do. And then you'll see the downstream impacts across your site conversions, being able to see engagement on the platforms increase, like all that kind of stuff. That's really the only element that you can still control almost 100%. and it's the one that everybody's is basically optimizing for.
Yeah, that's interesting to see how you guys are going about it. It's not just as a science, it's an art and a science, right? Of
Yeah.
creating that content and obviously understanding the algorithm. That sounds pretty good. I'm curious because you just touched on site conversions, and I'm sure that experience that you want to carry it over to the website in a way. So maybe we can talk about your experience a little bit in a sense of from your perspective, right? What are the key elements of a high converting e-commerce site? And maybe if you can share any tools, any tactics, any tricks, if you will, that you rely on to boost and keep that stream going from, from the content, the people that come through TikTok, let's say, to the website, so you can use it to boost sales and improve the user experience even.
Yeah. And yeah, I mean, you're hitting on the thing we've been just testing and trying. Um, so a couple things that we've shifted from. So definitely focusing on like all the main things. So making sure that like on any product card, there's a quick ad. Okay. And then when you click that quick ad, what happens? Do you have a cart drawer that pops out? And within that, like, are there recommended products? Like, so again, we're on Shopify. Shopify gives us a ton of stuff out of the box. Um, so I think like just making sure that you have all those basics down, um, being able to get someone exactly where they need to be in that moment's huge. There's a couple things that for us have unlocked an increase in conversion. So number one, and I'll talk specifically about the product page because I think this is where most people in e-commerce or most people who have a product are going to send people from an ad or they're going to send people from a social post or whatever, right? You're going to directly link to the product page. Um, I think using your gallery, your image gallery when you hit that page, like being really strategic about that is important. So we went from having just a bunch of like rendering photos or whatever to really thinking more almost like Amazon or thinking like Walmart.com. So when you think about that, that's like your biggest real estate. So when you're swiping, instead of just going from rendering one to rendering two to rendering three, for us, it's like, okay, you get that rendering photo, so you have that click in your consumer's mind. Okay, I'm on the right page. You swipe over, and then for us, that's an opportunity to just literally quickly say, "Hey, here's the game," and it's almost like an infographic type thing. And so now, we're obviously driving that person deeper. And then we have UGC right after that. So we have some form of a UGC testimonial in the form of a video right there in the gallery. And then they swipe over, and then there's a what's in the box. And then they swipe over, and there's another UGC. So I think for us, like, and we've had some fantastic relationships and partners who have helped us think about these things. But I think just like not taking a lot, like don't take any element on the page for granted. Um, and know that once you scroll, like so once a user scrolls, you've basically lost 30% of your visitors as soon as they scroll. And then once they get to the halfway point on the page, you've lost 50%. So I think we can go nuts on these tools. The one I tell everybody to get is Microsoft Clarity. It's free heat mapping tool. So if any of you are, using like Crazy Egg or any of these other big ones out there, um, you can check out Clarity. And I think it's just funny because some of the tools that have been around for forever, like we forget about, and they're still good. They still do the job. So for us, I think like, Google Analytics and Clarity, it's like, okay, that's just keep the main thing, and then focus on the
Mm,
page. And of course, like buy buttons, bundling apps, being able to have recommended products that are relevant, like all that stuff
right.
out of the box in Shopify, gotta have it. But for us, it's like think about the small elements and think about, what you've got above the fold. It's like every single thing there matters.
Got it. Okay, that's really good advice. And it sounds like, there's a few fancy things in a way, but it's always supported by fundamentals, right? So you're touching on, the UGC testimonials, and it's social proof. It's based on the buying journey, right? And I'm talking about it because obviously, that's a lot of what Passmore does. Um, but in context, right? Just show the thing that's most likely to drive this person to even upsell, or get the thing that they're looking at. So yeah, that's very interesting. Thanks for sharing.
Yeah.
Um, John, we're coming towards the end of our time here. I want to jump into a rapid fire segment questions.
Cool.
I just want to keep it light and engaging. It's just
Let's
a
do it.
quick question for a quick answer. You ready for it?
Yep, I'm ready.
All right. Do you prefer watching or reading?
Watching.
Watching. Okay. What's the latest piece of content, video, even film, movie that you picked up? Were there any gems or ideas that really stuck with you?
I watched a recent podcast with Jimmy Carr, the comedian, and I thought I was going in for laughs, and I came out with a lot of wisdom. So
Was
it's
it the
just,
Joe Rogan's episode or?
it was. Yeah, yeah.
Right. Yeah, I
It's
watched that
just,
one. So
yeah, it's just lots of great nuggets of truth there. It was really cool.
yeah, that was a good one. Agreed. Very good. So if you had a magic wand and could fix one frustrating thing in your marketing life with tech, what would it be?
Being able to pump out creative strategy, like we said, those highly engaging pieces of content, if AI could actually get there, that would be what I would do right now.
Good one. Maybe it's somewhat related, but what's one repetitive task that you do on a daily basis that you actually love to put on autopilot forever?
Calendar prioritization. Um, Requests come in all the time, being able to have that just know where to go and tell me what to do next. It would put me on autopilot. That'd be great.
Yeah, that'd be really good for meetings too, right? Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
yeah, absolutely. Okay, so if you could go back and give your past self a quick pep talk at the start of your journey, what advice would you drop?
I would say go for the gusto, go for the biggest thing. You're never going to be as single, as irresponsible, as mobile as you are when you're young. So for me, it would have been I knew content and like being a content creator and figuring out the recipe to that was the way to go.
Mhm.
And I would just do it. I would go work for free. And I know that's not everybody can do that, but you can do that when you're young. And that's what I would do over again.
Okay, that's a good piece of wisdom. John, I want to thank you a lot for being on the show with us today, and also want to give you the last word. So, if someone forgets everything about the interview today, what is the one thing that they should remember about the work you guys are doing at Popdarts?
Um, Man, I think it's just make great products and tell the truth in your storytelling. Those two things, you'll be good to go.
Amazing. And if someone wants to, have some fun, how can they find you? What kind of channels would you recommend?
Yeah, I mean, you can find us anywhere. We're on Amazon, we're on Walmart now. You hit us up at popdartsgame.com, or you can buy through TikTok Shop if you're one of those people too.
And obviously tune in August, right? ESPN
Of
will be
course.
the
Yeah, yeah. Tune
internationals.
in. We're launching tons of new products. It's a good time to join the fam.
Amazing. All right, John. Thank you
Awesome.
again for joining us, and I hope to see you again soon.
Thank you, Rick. Appreciate it, man.
Of course. Bye, everybody.